clean. This is how it looks on mobile. Isn't this clean? Isn't this neat? Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Just look at this. Just look at this. Hello, you guys. How you guys doing? This Nigeria Coder here, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to use NextJS and guess what? Framer Motion to create a landing page for a website. Now, if you look at the screen right here, you can see this amazing website, right? Now I'm going to refresh this website, and we're going to see some nice animations. Let's go ahead and refresh the site. So you can see this little animation. When you scroll down, you can see this animation as well. When you scroll down, you can see how the animation is popping out text. When you scroll to that section of the page, we scroll down here, we can see how the animation is working here. And we see some animation down here. We scroll down again, and we have some nice animation. Now, guess what? If we go back up the page, you're scrolling back up the page, right? Boom, see some animations again. Animation. Every time we scroll to that section of the page, the animations will pop out. And I'm going to be showing you guys how to create this whole thing from scratch. But if you don't want it from scratch, if you just want the source code, I made it very easy to edit. I put comments in certain sections so you'll be able to know how to edit those sections. Even if when you see the code, I arrange it in such a way it is very easy and readable for everyone. So if you need the code, just go on to my Buy Me Coffee website, which is in the link in the description, and you can just get that for yourself. Okay, it really helps support the channel and helps this channel grow. Now, if you can do that, no problem. We're going to be doing it all from scratch. You're going to be seeing it here on the video. And guess what? I'm also going to increase my font for you guys. And all you need to do is just click like and subscribe if you haven't. If you enjoy the content, it really helps the channel grow. So let's get to it, guys. And guess what? I'm going to be using TypeScript. Okay, a lot of people are messaging me, please use TypeScript more and increase your font, and I'm going to do that for you guys here in this video. Okay, so let's get started. Now, what we want to do, we want to go to our code base here. So as you can see, I've already done npx create next app. I'm using TypeScript, and you can see my answers to the rest. Very simple. We're using the app router like we always do, and everything's complete over here. So what we're going to go is say clear, and then we're going to say npm run dev. Okay, so we're going to say localhost 3000. All right, so we see what we get, right? So we go back to our code. I want to come over here. I want to create a new folder. I want to say site. I want to take this page over here. Then I want to come to my global CSS. I want to delete all of this. Then I want to come to this page over here and get rid of all this boilerplate code inside here. Okay, now get rid of this class name. Okay, and just save. Okay, now please guys, I also want to say again, a lot of you are not subscribed, but you guys like, so if you can please help me subscribe, it will really help the channel grow. Okay guys, thanks in advance. Thanks in advance. Okay, so in our main file here, I'm just going to say div class name. I'm going to say bg gradient to be from blue 100 and white. Don't worry, I'm going to explain what this does. Okay, by white to blue 100. Okay, then I'm going to just close this. Now what I'm doing here is very simple. Okay, in this code here, we can see the background here. This is a bit of blue, and it goes to white, and then it goes to blue again. So for this section, that's why I'm using this. I'm using gradient from blue to via white and then to blue again. Okay, so that's why I'm using this. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to create a folder in here called components. This components. Then we're going to create two folders in here. We're going to say main. It's not how you spell main now. Come on. Then I'm going to create another folder, elements. And in our main folder, we're going to create a new file called navbar.js. Okay. And I'm going to hide all of this. Okay. So over here, we're going to say RAFCE, and we're going to say navbar. Now, I want to show you guys a trick. Like, there are places where I used to get like some components already made, and then I just like build on top of them. Okay, and I'm going to show you that website right now. And guess what? This website is mobile friendly. I didn't even mention that in the beginning of the video. Check this out. Check this out. And guess what? If you refresh it, clean. This is how it looks on mobile. Isn't this clean? Isn't this neat? Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Just look at this. Just look at this. Beautiful. 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 Okay. So I was telling you guys there are places where I get some of these components already made. Like I get from this kitwind.io. This is a UI kit. It's not everything you need to build from scratch. Some things you can just get and use. So I'll be using the nav bar over here. I'll be using the nav bar, okay? So we'll come over here and in our nav bar section. So we're going to create the first session here, which is menu open. And what that is going to be used for us is in this navbar we're seeing here, right? If we go over to how do we reduce this? If we reduce this screen, right, we can see this menu here. When we click it, we have pop out of features, and when we close it, it's just very neat and just very tidy, guys. Very neat and very tidy. Okay, so like I said, you don't have to build some certain things from scratch. You can just copy those components. Like we can see we have like certain pre-made components over here, and we can see the code when it's in React. Okay, so this is the code that we're using for this website. All right, so I'm just going to copy that and paste it here. So I'm showing you guys some tricks that I do. I don't necessarily have to like code every single component that I'm using when building websites, especially when it's just landing pages. So this is just some things you can do to simplify your work. Okay, so I'm just going to say it's div here, class name. I'm going to say max width 7xl mx auto. Okay, and I'm going to say navbar. Okay, what's the matter? In our navbar, we exported default as navbar. Yeah. Okay. So we're not getting our navbar from here. Okay. Okay. Use states. We didn't even properly import that. So let us do this. It's supposed to be false. And then we're supposed to import our use state. And then over here, we need to tell it this is a client component. Okay. I don't know why it's changing it to this form, but I think it will work. So let's cancel this. Import navbar from components main navbar. Okay, so let's check out our code. Say boolean is not defined. Okay, we created it. We can say our mistake here. We used .js when we were supposed to use .csx. So that was our mistake. So let's correct this. Okay, that should be perfect now. Let's refresh. Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to go to page, and then we're going to delete this imports. and I'm going to import it, and then boom. So you can see navbar easily placed. Okay, so what's the next component we need to work on? Our hero section. Okay, so when we come here, we're going to go to main and say hero section dot js. Okay, not js, we need to use text. I don't know, I think the text is large enough, guys. Let me increase it a bit again. I think like this should be okay for you guys. Okay, so over here we're going to say RAFCE, say hero section. Okay, then we also need to install material UI. So you guys, I even forgot. Let's come over here, MUI. Then we go over to the icon section, and then we take this install statement and put it here, and we install. Okay, while we're installing it, we're going to be using Framer Motion in this section. Okay, yeah, we also need to install Framer Motion. All right, so these are some settings we're going to be using in our Framer Motion divs. So we're just going to leave this for now. I'm going to say npm install Framer Motion. This is how yes, that's how we're supposed to call it. npm run dev. Okay, so now we're going to also import some things, some icons. So we're going to use motion and we're going to use scroll. Okay. Okay, and then in our elements, we're going to create a new file called new feature.tsx. Okay, just going to paste this. This is just saying new feature, check it out, which is going to be this section over here. Okay, that's what we're going to use this for. So if we come back to our hero section, okay, so over here we're going to remove this. It's going to be our first div. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to get this and then show you guys, explain it to you guys. Okay, all right, so let's just get this. All right, let me just explain it to you guys. I think that will be much easier. All right, so new feature here, let's import this. All right, now we start with our academy source. Let's refresh this page. Let's go to the page here, and we're going to say PR, and we're going to say hero section. Okay, so we don't have a use client, the use client there, so we're going to go up. Okay, perfect. Let's start with the effects section. Now we have this academic source summarization with AI power, right? So let's go there. All right, so this section over here is that section. Now what we're doing here, we're simply saying we're using Framer Motion to add this into it. So let's say we have, let me just delete this so I can explain it better. Let's say we have a H2, then we have our academic source, okay, with AI power, right? So what we're seeing here, we're getting our class name. That is a constant for us. All right, so let's come here. Let's refresh. So you can see there's no animation done to this, right? So now to animate it, what we're doing is that we're saying motion. Okay, motion. This imports the framer motion like feature that we need. So we need to first of all add it to whatever div h2 or p tag that we're using. Once we add that, now we're now going to say okay. We're going to say initially, the initial, right? That's the initial state of this item, right? So we're going to say the opacity is going to be none. That means initially the opacity is going to be 0. It's not going to show. So if we look here, nothing is showing because we're defining that the opacity is 0 and forever in all time is just going to be 0, right? Good. So and we're also going to say initially the opacity is 0 and it's on the y-axis of 100. So when you say it's on the y-axis of 100, let's say we put the opacity to be 1 so we can actually see it. And you see the y-axis should be 100. You can see where it is. It is down here, right? So we it's not supposed to be it's around here, but because we define the y-axis for it should be 100, it is 100 down. Okay. So now that the initial is this, what we're going to say, we're going to say animate. We want to animate it, right? We're going to say animate it into the opacity into 1 and the y equals to 0. But initially the opacity should be 0, right? Okay, now let's refresh and see what happens. You can see how it just runs up, right? Very quickly. It just gets up, right? But we don't want it to be like, want it to like, slide up a little, like a little effect, right? So how do we do that? We now say transition. Okay, in this transition, we want to say the duration of this transition. How long should this say? Let's say 5 seconds. We're just going to use that example. We're going to say is. Okay, let's not use any is. Let's just duration 5 seconds and refresh this. You can see how it's going slowly, right? It's using 5 seconds to complete its movement from y-axis 0 to y-axis and y-axis 100 to y-axis 0. That's why we set the duration to be 5, but we don't want duration. We want it to be around 1. And then we're going to say is. I'm going to say is out, right? Then here we're going to say delay, and we're going to say we're setting the delay property to like say I don't want you to start immediately. I want you to wait a bit before you start. So I don't want it that when the page just loads, to just start the animation. No, I want you to delay a bit before you start. Present yourself, okay? So that's what we're doing there. So you can see it now looks much better. And that's what we're using to do on all these sections. We're just controlling the y and the x-axis initially, and then we're setting how long and what the delay is should be for the transition and how we should transition. Then we're now like completing it, okay? So when we refresh, we can see we also have something like this here. And let me show you how that works. You can see the demo button with the slow motion icon here. And here we're just saying the initial should be 0. The x-axis should be 40. That means it should be on the left-hand side. Start from the left-hand side and then move into the center. Okay, that's the x-axis is on the horizontal. The y-axis is on the vertical. So when you say minus 100, you're like going low. When you say 100, you're going high. When you say x, you're on the right-hand side, and when you say minus x, you're on the left-hand side. Okay, so it's just simple y and x axis. In almost every animation package that you're using, reference to that XY axis and also the Z axis is also always going to be defined. Like when I was using 3JS, we work a lot with the XY and the Z axis. Okay, so that's what we're doing here, and then in here we're setting a little bit of properties. We're saying bounce damping to be 10 and bounce stiffness to be 600. If we copy this and we paste it over in here in our transition, we'll see it adds a bit of difference to how it works. Okay, maybe not too much. Okay, so we're just animating everything. Like in this section here, we're just animating it almost the same thing, to just slide up easily, and we're animating all these images, and we're also doing the same thing here for here and here. So it's very, very simple. The only thing is that we're delaying the time. Like here, we have our delay to 0.3, and then over here we have our delay to be 0.1. So we want this ones to start first before the ones with 0.3 start. Okay, so if we refresh this, you can see. All right, so that's perfect. So let's go to the next section. All right, this the mark you. Okay, so here we're going to see partners. Okay, we're going to paste this. So here we're just using the React Fast mark you, which we didn't install. So we're going to install it now. All right, so we're going to go back to our page. We're just going to see our, then we're going to see partners mark you. All right, perfect. So when we refresh this, all right, we should see our mark you here. Okay, perfect. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to work on our features. Okay, then we're going to go to our page and import it. Okay, so in our features, how does this work? Okay, why is light reflecting? Is there any way I can stop that from reflecting? No way I can stop that. All right, so let's continue. In our features here, I think we should have that. Okay, so this section, how do we animate this section? All right, let's go. So over here, we're using what we call we're using a use ref, and we're putting that ref here. Why are we doing with a use ref, and why are we doing this code here? We're trying to make sure that it triggers when the element is in view. So you can see here we have a threshold saying trigger when 10% of the element is in view. If we delete this and say 5, let's refresh this. Okay, so you can see nothing is showing yet until 50% of the section is in view, and then it works. You can see how that is actually cool. So you can actually play with this more than I thought. Okay, so we're using that to check when the element is in view, because if you don't use that, normally Framer motion will just kickstart when the page reloads, right? But we don't want that. We don't want it to kickstart when the page reloads. We want when the, for example, let's say we have an animation at the bottom of the page, and when the user opens the page is at the top, and then if the animation at the bottom kickstarts, it means that before he scrolls to the bottom, the animation is done, right? And we don't want that. We want to make sure that the animation is when the user is on that section that it plays or it begins, and that's why we're using this. Okay, so you can see here we have animated here. Let me just delete this and delete this. Okay, so over here for this itself, we're saying that the scale should be 0. This time we're using scale, we're not using opacity or y-axis. We're saying the scale should be 0, and then when it is in view, the scale should be 1. Okay, so we're using this is in view property to know when the section is in view before it starts to show. Okay, so when it's in view, it should be 1. When it's not in view, it should be 0, right? And we're using this our transition over here, and That's just what we're doing to show this. These other sections, we're not animating them. We only animated this image over here and this watch demo. And then here, how do you get this thing to bounce? I know you guys will be thinking, how do you make that bounce? Very simple. All you need to do is just use the animate bounce property. It's also in Tailwind CSS. It's in Tailwind CSS, so you don't really need any other like package or anything to make that happen. Okay. You also have animate spin. Let me show you guys how that works. So you can see it's already spinning on its own. Right. So then you also have pause. So you can see it's getting dim and it's getting bright. So those are the two things you have with that. But we're just using the bounce because I really liked the bounce. Okay. So let's go to our next section. Let's close all this. Okay, let's put a BR here. Okay, so in our main file here, we're going to create another say features underscore 2.csx. Right, so we just paste this. Here we're also doing the same thing, making sure it's in view. Then we're using opacity and Y axis to do our animations for this section. But before we do this, let's see how that section would show up. Okay, so just this feature section. Okay, so what's the next section we have? We just do a BR here, and then here we're going to say div class name and say bg gradient to the bottom. I'm going to say from white blue 100, and then we're going to say to white. Okay, then we're going to create some sections. So first thing here, we're going to say pricing. Okay, okay. Here we're also using the same thing with our pricing element to animate all the sections. Okay, so these are our pricing elements, our pricing component rather. Then come over here. We also have our review section over here with Freeman motion. Then in our elements, we're going to create a file. We're going to say stats. Okay. Then in our main, we're going to create another state C. And you guys will be wondering, where am I getting this components from? Well, it's very simple. I have to get a hold of Comi UI kit or the other one I use, which is this. So you can get like different already made elements to use and just copy the code and use for yourself. Okay. All right. So we've done the team. What other section do we have to do? The newsletter. Okay. And the frequently asked questions. Mm, 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 mm. Okay, then the footer section. All right, perfect. All right, so here we're going to say div class name max width 7xl mx auto. Okay, so we've made this section. Let's go back and see our powerful features, our pricing. This is our okay, yeah, it's supposed to be our plans. Then this is our review. So let's try and finish this up now. So let's go. Let's say div class name max width 7xl mx auto. Let's say team. Let me say BR. Newsletter. BR. Then we need to frequently ask questions. Then we're going to say BR again. Then let's say footer. All right. So with this, our code should be complete. Okay, perfect. All right, guys. So make sure you leave a like and you subscribe if you haven't. This was just like a brush through a landing page. Landing pages are very simple. They're just components added on top each other. Really, there's no really complex knowledge to it. We just have little frame and motion animated animations added to it. Okay, so make sure you like this video, subscribe, and make sure you click on the link in the description to get the full code. Okay, really help support the channel. Love you guys.